It's morphin' time. Pterodactyl. Hi there, this is Datila with Rangers of Wrestling, bringing you the Wrestling Time post show. And for tonight's show, I will be reviewing Monday Night Raw. Alright, so Monday Night Raw kicked off with Brock Lesnar, who is the new reigning, defending WWE champion. He says he came out with his cowboy hat and a coat. He said it was getting hot in here. So he took off his coat. Paul Heyman comes out and says that Brock Lesnar is supposed to defend his WWE Championship on Saturday, March 5th against Bobby Lashley at Madison Square Garden. But he's not sure if Bobby Lashley will show up. And he's also not sure Brock Lesnar will be at WrestleMania as a champion. And Brock Lesnar basically says he's going to show up to Friday Night SmackDown and introduce the reigning, defending WWE champion to Roman Reigns. This is actually a little fun way to kick off a Raw. I actually really like this opening. So it makes me wonder, like, what's going on Saturday, March 5th? Is that a house show or is it a special show? Because they were talking about that. Anybody know what's going on March 5th? Because I have no idea. But I really, really like this opening. But what did you guys think of this opening segment? All right. And then he says he thanks Paul Heyman for telling him where he's supposed to be. And says that he's going to introduce himself to Roman on Friday Night SmackDown. That was the whole gist of this. Backstage, we find out that Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens are going to challenge RKBro in the main event tonight on Raw. And if they win, they will be added to the match against Alpha Academy for the Raw Tag Team Championships. So more on that later, though. So then we had the Street Profits versus the Alpha Academy. I actually really like this match. It was a fun little match. I believe we've had this match, though, already. Yeah, we've seen this match before, though. But it was still fun. I liked it. Of course, Alpha Academy were victorious, and they're building momentum on their way to WrestleMania. So then, for some weird reason, we had Finbale and Tomaso Ciampa versus the Dirty Dawgz. Apparently, Tomaso Ciampa and Dolph Ziggler are feuding on NXT. So this was a good match. This really was. I liked it. I don't know about you guys. Of course, Finbale and Tomaso Ciampa were victorious. My thoughts on this was that where was this cross promotion with NXT when NXT was going head to head with AEW Dynamite? Now that NXT is on Tuesdays and Bruce Pritchard is in charge of NXT, now they're promoting NXT. But when we had the black and gold brand and Triple H was in charge of it, there was no promotion. But now all of a sudden they want to do cross promotion. What was this? Where was this promotion? This is the kind of cross promotion we should have had for the old NXT. And maybe the result of the Wednesday Night Wars would have been a little differently. But that's just me talking. What are your thoughts on that? You guys definitely want to hear your thoughts. So then we had a Miz TV segment with a very special guest. Miz was going to introduce his tag team partner. So Miz says that most people don't know what it is like to fly on a private jet, what it's like to get off the couch, or what it's like to leave the town. He says they need someone to relate to, and Rey Mysterio they can relate to Rey Mysterio. People see themselves in Rey Mysterio. He says the fans can't be trusted. And he says, and then Rey Mysterio says that no one in the back is going to want to partner with the Miz. And so then Miz starts to describe his partner as someone who is dashing, comes from a fighting family, and trust. And he's an all-around athlete. So there's a word dashing that got people talking on Twitter. Because if you guys recall, dashing was what Cody Rhodes went by. That was one of his gimmicks in the WWE. But it turned out to be none other than Logan Paul. So both Logan Paul and The Miz attacked the Mysterios, Rey Mysterio and his son Dominic. And each of them gave a skull-crushing finale. And sent them flying into the post. Steve saying, named Logan Paul. Yeah, so it seems like it's going to be a repeat of last year with Miz, except this time instead of being Miz and Morrison versus Priest and Bad Bunny, it's going to be Miz and Logan Paul versus the Mysterios. And probably the Mysterios are going to win. And Logan Paul was at WrestleMania last year. He was on night 2. So there you go, Rhea Ripley versus Nikki ASH. I have no idea why we got this match. It was a decent match. We've seen this before. Of course, Rhea Ripley ended up being victorious. Then we had Damien Priest versus Shelton Benjamin, which was kind of a quick match. I don't want to call it a squash match, but it was kind of quick. Of course, Cedric Alexander tried to interfere in this match. Damien Priest ended up being victorious. However, then at the end, he said that he... Michael 101591 says, Logan Paul. Yeah. He said, Danny Stanton, I still don't have no idea who the H Logan Paul is. I think he's some YouTuber. His brother Jake Paul is a fighter. So at the end of this Damien Priest match, he says that he's beaten athletes of his caliber, and he's beaten a whole list of champions, and he's volunteering the U.S. title next week because he wants a worthy opponent. It says Michael 11591 says bathroom break for me during Priest versus Benjamin came back and the match was over. Yeah, it was a quick match. So Finbale comes out and he challenges. He accepts challenge basically. So next week we're gonna get Damien Priest versus Finbale, which should be a banger of a match. I'm actually pretty excited. So far, Damien Priest is the longest reigning United States champion of this era. Of course, the longest reigning United States champion is none other than Dean Ambrose, or as we know him today, Jon Moxley, who held the title, I believe, for 354 days, a couple days short of a full year. So maybe Damien Priest is going to surpass that. He has to hold the title up until at least SummerSlam, depending on where SummerSlam is. Michael 101591 saying Priest versus Balor should be good. It definitely should be good. I'm actually looking forward to it. So then after that, we had Reggie, who is a new 24/7 champion. He beat Dana Brooke last week. He says that he was supportive of Dana and wanted to be more than just friends, but Dana didn't want to. And he apologizes for last week. He calls her out, brings the ref out, and he acts like he's trying to lay down for her so she can win the title again. Of course, he keeps getting up, so she finally kisses him and she becomes 24/7 champion again. I don't know why this needed to be out in the ring. This could have just happened backstage. I thought this segment was kind of pointless. I don't know, but hey, props to Dana. At least she's doing something. Then we get a Bianca Belair segment, which happens before her match. Michael 101591 says, Damien Priest, I'm in Hulk smash. That's funny. She says you can't spell WrestleMania without EST, and that she was a sole survivor and won the Elimination Chamber. So Dana's champ. Yeah, she's 24/7 champion again. And says that if Becky... Oh, and then Becky Lynch comes out and says that she's the victim. And Bianca says if Becky wants to be the victim, she'll make her the victim. So this leads into Doudrop versus Bianca Belair, which wasn't a bad match. It really wasn't. I enjoyed the match, but we've seen this match before, and I'm not quite sure how Bianca Belair versus Doudrop builds to Becky Lynch versus Bianca Belair. Michael 101591 saying 24/7 needs to be retired. Yeah, it definitely does. It was funny the first couple of times with R-Truth, but now it's not so much anymore. That match was blah. It was all right. It wasn't that bad. I will say this, though. We have seen the feud between Bianca Belair and Becky Lynch. We've seen that feud. We saw it last year. But now we're going to see it again. I was at SummerSlam for their match, for Becky's big return in that match. I think they're trying to finally give Bianca back her win from that loss, which is great and all, but that should have happened last year. It should have been. And now it's going to happen again at WrestleMania. Bianca Belair needs to win that match. And we don't need to see this feud anymore. But that's what happens when you run through the division and you're short on women. Because Carmella and Zelina are the women's tag team champions. When was the last time the tag team champions were even defended? The women's. Let me see. Michael 101591 saying Bianca and Doudrop wasn't bad, even though we've seen it before. Yeah, it wasn't bad. You know, so what? So now we have to do a repeat storyline because we're short on women. I mean, didn't Alexa Bliss just come back? Is she not on Raw? Is she gonna go to SmackDown? Where's Bailey? I don't know, but Bianca needs to win at WrestleMania. Otherwise, this storyline was completely pointless again. Then we had an Edge segment. He talks about how he will never forget WrestleMania 3. WrestleMania 3 was when Hulk Hogan body slammed Andre the Giant. He said that WrestleMania 14 was his first as talent and that he was at WrestleMania 2 years later. He goes on to talk about WrestleMania 17, the TLC match that featured Edge and Christian, the Hardy Boys, and the Dudley Boys. Bailey, Michael 10159 saying Bailey needs to be back already. Yeah, he does. Danny said Bailey had needs. She did? Oh yeah, she did. So, but shouldn't she be back by now? She should be back by now. Which was a tremendous match, if you guys recall that WrestleMania 17 match. And so he basically goes over his WrestleMania moments. He talks about WrestleMania 21, where he won the first ever Money in the Bank ladder match. Let's get AJ Styles versus Edge. Yes, hold on, you're jumping the gun. You got WrestleMania 22 when he fought Mick Foley. That was an incredible match. Who can forget when Edge speared Mick Foley through a table that was on fire? WrestleMania 24 when he had his match against The Undertaker, and WrestleMania 27, his final match against, I believe, Alberto Del Rio, which he won and successfully retained his World Heavyweight Championship before he was first to retire. And of course, last year's WrestleMania, which he main evented alongside Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan. AJ Styles and Edge at Mania, yes. So he goes on to say that he needs to be at WrestleMania, that it's called stupendous, but that you can't call it that without Edge, and he wants someone to step up. He says he wants WrestleMania to be phenomenal, quote unquote, hinting to probably AJ Styles. I would love to see AJ Styles versus Edge at WrestleMania. I think that AJ Styles can get a good match out of Edge. And in our main event tonight was Seth freaking Rollins and Kevin Owens versus RKBro. So that match, RKBro is with Alpha Academy banned from ringside. So RK-Bro is supposed to face Alpha Academy in 2 weeks for the Raw Tag Team titles. And if Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens won tonight, they would be added to that match. Michael 101591 saying, stupendous Mania. It should be the most predictable Mania. Yeah, main event was good. Definitely. So, of course, since Alpha Academy was banned from ringside, they were backstage watching this entire match, which wasn't a bad match. We saw this match 2 weeks ago, though. I like how Randy Orton sent Rollins flying over the ring and then put Owens onto the announce table. Seth Rollins got a knee to the face by Matt Riddle. Owens pulled Matt Riddle's legs and tripped him. Randy Orton was going to go for a double DDT to Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens, but Seth Rollins managed to escape, so only Kevin Owens took the DDT. Seth Rollins stomped Randy Orton on the outside, and then he came back and stomped Riddle, and so Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins end up winning the tag match, and they are added to the tag match. It's going to happen in 2 weeks. So I have to say, I actually like the main event. I actually want Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins to challenge for the tag titles. This match should be happening at WrestleMania. Main event was entertaining. I don't know why it's not happening at WrestleMania. I guess whoever comes out, Raw was a 2 out of 10. Awful as always, really. I guess whoever comes out of this match as tag team champions will go on to defend their tag team championships at WrestleMania. Well, at least I'm assuming, unless we don't get a Raw tag team title match at WrestleMania, which is probably why it's happening in 2 weeks. But Raw was a 5 out of 10. I really hope it's not a situation that RK-Bro win the tag titles and then they go on to face American Alpha at WrestleMania in a rematch. I don't want to see that. I'd rather see Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins in a tag team title scene at WrestleMania, sub like Road to 400. Yes, definitely. But knowing that probably won't happen. And especially with Kevin Owens' history of turning on his tag team partners like Sami Zayn and Chris Jericho, he's probably going to turn on Seth Rollins. And maybe we'll get Seth Rollins versus Kevin Owens at WrestleMania. Then granted, the rumor might be Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Kevin Owens. But I'd rather see Seth Rollins versus Kevin Owens. Not that I don't want to see Stone Cold, just I feel like it might be a quick match between him and Kevin Owens. Overall, tonight's Raw was pretty decent, but we have to remember we are building to WrestleMania. I don't know what Rhea Ripley versus Nikki ASH had to do with the road to WrestleMania. I don't know what Reggie Dana had to do with WrestleMania. I don't know what Bianca Belair versus Doudrop had to do with WrestleMania, but I did like that match. I did like the main event. I did like the Street Profits versus the Alpha Academy, and I did like Finbale and Ciampa versus the Dirty Dawgz. So with that being said, I like the Edge segment. I really did enjoy the Edge segment. But with that being said, I would have to give Monday Night Raw a 3.5 out of 5 and a 6 out of 10. Even though I like those segments, some of these matches we've seen before plenty of times, and I have notes to prove it. I really do. You guys know I take notes, so I have my notes to prove that we've seen these matches before. And we also have to build to WrestleMania. But it seems like to me that WWE is so concerned with the build of Roman and Reigns and Bianca and Becky that they don't care about the rest of the card. And we're getting a lackluster build again to WrestleMania. But that's all I have to say. But what about you guys? What do you guys think about? What did you guys think about this Raw and the road to WrestleMania? Steve Callahan saying good review. Thank you. Sub like road to 400. Yes, please. Well, with that being said, that concludes this review. And I'll definitely see you guys on Wednesday after AEW Dynamite. But if you guys like Power Rangers, I will finally be releasing episode 3 of my Legacy of Power Rangers podcast, Romance in Power Rangers. So I'll see you guys on Wednesday. Have a great night. Bye.